Hey guys, hope you're doing good. In today's video, I will show you a small adjustment to your strategy, which can increase your win rate by 15 to 20%. And it's a really easy adjustment. I think most of you guys watching this video are trading futures, probably trading Nasdaq. And probably you're using the S&P 500 to spot SMTs. SMT stands for Smart Money Technique, and it describes the divergence in between correlated assets. So for instance, if the Nasdaq is forming higher highs, normally the S&P 500 is also forming higher highs. If we have a divergence in between those assets, we can see that the Nasdaq forms higher highs, but the S&P 500 fails to form a higher high. And most of you guys are just executing your trades on the Nasdaq, no matter if the Nasdaq is the stronger or weaker pair. But you guys should execute long positions only on the stronger pair and short positions only on the weaker pair or asset. And today was a good example for this. I personally took over 800 trades on the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, and I can tell you that it makes a big difference if you just stick and execute your trades on the Nasdaq, or if you switch between the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. So if you're executing longs on the stronger asset or on the weaker asset. If you just execute your long positions on the stronger asset, no matter if it's the Nasdaq or the S&P 500, this small adjustment will increase your win rate by 15 to 20%. And today was a good example for it, because you can see that the Nasdaq is definitely weaker than the S&P 500. Why? Let's look at this high. We see the Nasdaq fails to took out this high, while the S&P 500 took out that high. That shows us that the S&P 500 is stronger than the Nasdaq. So if we are going into the day and we have a bullish bias, where we should look for our long entries? 100% on the S&P 500, because it's the stronger asset. But most of you guys will just look for SMTs and execute your trades on the Nasdaq, and that makes literally no sense. If we are coming into the day and we see, or we have a bearish bias, which asset we want to short? Definitely the Nasdaq, because it's the weaker asset. Yeah, and we can see this here at the bottom too. Let's compare both candles, like the 9:45 a.m. candle. We can see that we liquidate this candle on the Nasdaq, and we are just respecting this fair value gap here on the S&P 500. So we can see that the S&P 500 is definitely stronger here. And we can also see it here. We see that the S&P 500 already took out that high. Meanwhile, on the Nasdaq, we are really far away from that high. So if we have a bullish bias, which one or which asset you want to long? Definitely the S&P 500 in this case. Yeah. So backtest it for yourself. Like I said, I took over 800 trades on both assets, and I can tell you that it's making a really big difference if you're executing your longs on the stronger asset and your shorts on the weaker asset. By just making this small adjustment to my trading strategy, I increased my win rate roughly about 20%. So yeah, it's making a big difference, and it's not a big difference for your trading day if you're executing on the Nasdaq or the S&P 500, you know. So yeah, give it a try, backtest it for yourself, and if you like that video, leave a like, a comment, subscribe, and the next video will be a trade recap again. See you guys.